You and Your Young Child, a program of information and services available for you and your child from prenatal to age 5. You and Your Young Child has been brought to you in part by Minor Family Dentistry and by the Sternberg Museum of Natural History. Minor Family Dentistry would like to bring you the following dental health tip. It's recommended to have a dental checkup no later than your child's first birthday. An adult should brush for a young child and monitor older children's brushing to ensure a good job is done. Flossing should start when teeth are touching. Minor Family Dentistry wishes you good dental health. Families, including children of all ages, are welcome. Minor Family Dentistry, 1010 Downing and Hayes. Find them in the Next Tech directory.
So, you think you have skeletons in your closet? Come to Sternberg Museum, where we let our skeletons out of the closet.
Hello, and welcome to You and Your Young Child, the program devoted to early childhood. My name is Dana Stanton, and I'm the coordinator of early childhood grant programs for USD 489. And with me today is Karen Schuler. Good morning, Karen.
Good morning, Dana.
Now, first of all, Karen, tell us a little bit about what organization you work for and what do you do?
I am a licensed counselor. I have a private practice called KS Counseling Services, and I also teach online classes for the sociology department at Fort Hays.
I also have to say Karen's involved in almost every organizational meeting, advisory council around town, anything that has to do with early childhood. Karen has always been a great supporter of, so I thank you for that. Now, today we're going to be talking, it's the Christmas season, and you think of happy things, but for some people, Christmas season can be kind of a hard time of the year. So, I don't know if the word is stress or grief. Is it different this time of the year?
Oh, yeah. For a lot of people, the holiday season is not all that joyful and cheerful. Mm-hmm. After all, Thanksgiving and Christmas are very traditional family get-togethers. Mm-hmm. And for some people, it's just not the way that we see it on TV or in the advertisements. Part of the reason that is some people are dealing with grief. They've lost somebody during the year, a loved one, a spouse, a family member has passed away, and they're still in that grief process. So here you have the holidays, yes, with all the joy and cheerfulness and family get-togethers, and the person who's still grieving, that's very difficult for them to handle that.
Mm-hmm. I was even thinking about, you think about adults, but young children would be going through those sort of emotions as well.
Oh, right. And we need to realize that children do feel grief also. They're probably going to go through the process a little quicker than an adult, and they're going to be distracted by other things. So it's probably a little easier for them in some ways. But, even a major change can bring about a grief response, making a move, divorce, something like that. The important thing is that people recognize their own feelings, but recognize the feelings of a family member or a friend or of a child. The grief process actually takes about 3 years on average for people to get through. Some people get through sooner, but that first year is all anniversaries. It's the birthday of the person who passed away.
It's the first Christmas without mom. Right. It's the first Thanksgiving without mom.
Exactly. And all of those, bring back all those memories. And even though those memories we sometimes enjoy, they can also be very painful.
Mm-hmm. Now, what are some suggestions for someone who is going through that grief process? What would make it easier for them?
Number one is just recognize that they're in that process and that it is a process. Mm-hmm. Too often family members, friends will say, oh, get over it, move on. And it's just not that easy. Some people can go through the process very quickly. Others can't, and we need to recognize that. But during the holidays, when families getting together and friends are throwing parties, we don't want to do those things. My suggestion is try to get out, try to be involved, go to a Christmas party and leave early, explain to people that you might do that, go to a family get-together, and the same thing, you might want to, leave a little earlier, but don't avoid those things because then you tend to isolate yourself, and isolation contributes to depression, all of which definitely aren't good for us. Mm-hmm. So again, I encourage people to get involved as much as they can. Also, when you've lost a loved one, especially a child, it's okay to maybe start a tradition, hang up their stocking, nothing wrong with doing that. Maybe create a special donation or a special activity that you do at that time of the year in memory of that child. A real important part of that is that family members and friends are supportive of that and recognize that.
It wouldn't be successful without that, I would think.
Right. You've got to have that understanding from others as well.
Now, you've talked about grief. I know just plain old stress of the holidays. It's supposed to be a joyous time, but you're pulled in a million directions. As a parent, you're worrying about money and trying to make all the events, and, children are all wrapped up in that stress with you. What about stress during the holidays?
I have people tell me that the holidays is one of the most stressful times of the year for them, for everything that you've mentioned. Yes, finances, buying gifts, all the other activities that are in there, and the kids, they start going a little crazy about Halloween or so. Yeah. It can really get to you. There's a number of things that you need to think about. Say no. If there's too much going on, then put some limits. Talk to your family about them. Tell them you need help with a meal or preparing something or shopping or whatever. I even challenge people to cut back this time of the year. Don't give gifts. Oh my goodness. There are some people that would be rather offended by that. But I know a number of people who have definitely cut back on gift giving, or they channel that time and money into some sort of some other project or activity, or maybe donating their time to some charitable event.
Now, I didn't even tell you this, Karen, but at our family, we've started this year, you get 4 gifts: something you want, something you need, something to wear, something to read. My children were appalled. But, I think they'll be just fine. They're still going to get something that they want and some of the things that we know they need. But maybe it's better not to be quite as it has to be overwhelming sometimes with all the stuff they get. They don't even end up playing with half of it.
And I see that. And there's such a pressure there. The media has put a pressure on people and on families and on parents. And I watch these advertisements on TV and I think to myself, how can a parent even keep up with the expectations that that commercialism, and many people say Christmas has become commercialized, the pressure that puts on families. And then if you're a family that just cannot afford that sort of stuff, doesn't have the time and money, we need to rethink those things. And I like what you've come up with. I think that's great. And I know a number of families who have don't give gifts or limit it very much, and they put that money towards other kinds of activities.
You've talked about some helpful suggestions for people. What if someone, is just really blue and really depressed, and it's beyond the normal, grief and stress of the holidays? What would you suggest they do?
A person who is really experiencing a very high level of depression a lot of times doesn't recognize it because they just get sunk into that black hole, they'll call it. It's important for friends and families to recognize that, talk to the person about it, and sometimes you can help them to see that. But I would encourage anybody at that point to get some professional help. And that could be someone in your church, your minister that you just need to talk through it with. They're very, very well knowledgeable about the grief process for sure. We have counselors, we have psychologists, a lot of good services available. So I encourage anybody to get some help with that. Sometimes it just helps to have somebody to talk to.
I like on the bottom here, it says simplify, 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 simplify. That's probably the best advice.
Yeah. If you hang up a whole lot of Christmas decorations, perhaps you could cut down on that. And the same thing with the gifts. Make it simpler. Make family get-togethers more simpler. And like I said before, ask for help. Ask somebody to help out with cooking the meal and that.
Karen, thank you so much. That's some great information. And I can let everyone out there know that at HaysParents.com there is a list of qualified mental health providers for families and children, so you can check that list out. You've been watching You and Your Young Child, the program devoted to early childhood. Parents, remember, you are your child's first and best teacher. Thank you.
Thanks for watching You and Your Young Child, a program of information and services available for you and your child from prenatal to age 5. You can watch the program weekdays in the noon and 9 o'clock hours. You and Your Young Child has been brought to you in part by Minor Family Dentistry and by the Sternberg Museum of Natural History.